I had a friend who told me years ago, he goes, one time I was chilling and I got a call that Puff wanted me to come over. I pulled up and he wanted me to like play with Cassie's seeing this. And he would sit there and film it and he was playing with himself. And in my mind, you know what I said? You're a clout chasing, lying, manipulative. Oh my God, I can't trust. I never stopped hanging out with him. At the time when he said it, I really thought he was just crazy being a clout chaser.
That's his thing.
And then full circle, I had to go. I had to call him. I went back to New York for someone. I pulled up on him and I said, I'm sorry. I don't work for Diddy. I took my show off the network before all this happened. I'm not loyal to Diddy. We're not friends by any measure, but I respect him and what he's done. If he's done something guilty and he's found guilty in court, then he should be held accountable like everybody else. But this new world of let me put everything I want to say but can't say online without getting a defamation suit and a lawsuit.
Jason,
I'm afraid to even.
We ain't talking about no white party.
You're afraid to acknowledge you've been to the Diddy parties.
No, I'm not afraid of it. I've been to the Diddy white parties. I've been to Diddy's birthday parties. I wasn't at Diddy after dark.
People act like I'm crazy when I say, yeah, I would have gone to the Diddy party. Because number one, up until a couple months ago, it did not have this reputation that there was all this seedy stuff happening.
No.
Everybody.
It always had the reputation.
Really?
That's a fact. What?
Really?
You don't notice how?
I mean, I just have never heard that.
And your homosexuality radar is much more sensitive than most people.
What do you mean homosexuality?
You're like really concerned with making sure that you're not accidentally pulling up on a gay orgy.
Who's talking about homosexual?
He's trying to mix in.
I'm not talking about homosexuality.
Right? Zestiness, whatever you want to call it.
No. It's just the party, right? It gets to a certain time at his parties where if you showed up there at 11 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, you're probably not remembering how you showed up at 11 o'clock.
When you go to a big fancy celebrity party, to the limited extent that I've done this, I would assume the freak-offs are taking place in, the master bedroom, in a different nook of this. Like the part where everybody else is.
No master
the last
bedroom
time I saw you was at French's house.
I know, and I assume there were some freak-offs taking place, but it was out of the line of sight of the average person at the party.
But see, when you go to Diddy's party, well, let me say this. Maybe there's different access. I'm in the backyard. I don't go in the house.
Right.
Wait, what have you always heard me say?
What?
We don't leave the backyard.
Yeah, I say in the backyard.
We don't go in the house.
But up until a couple months ago, if Diddy had come up to me and said, hey, we got to go back, I'm going to show you something.
Well, I
said, let's go, Puff, yeah.
And then what if it had showed you something?
In all fairness, let me say this.
I'd have to take a look.
In all fairness, all fairness.
Not that there's any like unwilling participants or anything, but if he said, hey, check this out, I'm going to say, oh shit.
In all fairness, I have been in the house when the parties have been happening, like not in the back rooms or like that, and I've not seen anything crazy.
Right.
I can't find it on my Snapchat, but I do have a video where Cassie and everybody just dancing, having a great time. I don't know what was going on in that house.
First of all, in Diddy's defense, I've never seen or heard of anybody being manipulated or forced to do. If you pulled up, you pulled up for your reasons.
Now, I had a friend who told me years ago, like 3 years ago, we were literally having dinner in New York, and he goes, hey, man, because he used to be a Sean John model. I'm like, yo, so, we were talking about modeling, the modeling industry, and we used to do this thing where we would get together. He's straight, I'm gay. We would get together with a small group of us, and we would just eat and just gossip. It really is what it was. And he said, man, I've seen the craziest in this game, bro. He goes, one time I was chilling and I got a call that Puff wanted me to come over. This is all allegedly. He says 3 years ago, wanted me to come over, pull up. I pulled up and he wanted me to like play with Cassie's seeing this. And he would sit there and film it and he was playing with himself. And in my mind, you know what I said? You're a clout chasing, lying, manipulative. Oh my God, I can't trust.
But now it all
hanging out with him.
Believe all victims.
No, I literally. No.
Not all, but.
But was he a victim?
No, he was consenting. So that's what I'm saying to your point.
Yeah, if Puff calls me, I want you to hot ass chick.
But this is all allegedly. But at the time when he said it, I really thought he was just crazy being a clout chaser.
That's his thing, though.
And then full circle, I had to go. I had to call him. I went back to New York for someone. I pulled up on him and I said, I'm sorry. Because what he said lined up.
Can I ask you a question? This is real.
Because that's the exact from her lawsuit, yeah.
Adam, actually, both of y'all, I think y'all, like, everybody has their thing, whatever it is. If Diddy's thing is to get willing participants to girl or whoever it may be while he watches, that's his thing.
And it's not,
you can have your personal opinion about it. There's other people out there that's their thing. You have your thing, right? You do, that's your thing, right? So I don't look at Diddy like, I don't say he's a weirdo. Right?
Well, it's all the other stuff that makes him a weirdo, right?
I will say the overly abusive.
Yeah, the abusive stuff, yeah.
I don't got nothing to say about whatever the was doing with willing participants. I don't know, as long as they're of age and they're willing.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Years ago, a friend of mine told me something I completely dismissed at the time. Years ago, a friend of mine told me something I completely dismissed at the time. We were having dinner in New York, just a small group of us. He's straight, I'm gay, and we get together every now and then to eat, talk, and gossip. He used to model for Sean John, and we got to talking about the industry. He leaned in and said, "Man, I've seen some crazy things in this game." Then he told me that he once got a call saying Puff wanted him to come through. He pulled up, and apparently Diddy wanted him to get intimate with Cassie while he sat there, filmed it, and touched himself. When he said that to me, I looked at him and thought, this man is a clout-chasing liar. I literally stopped hanging out with him over it. Not because I was offended by what he described, but because I genuinely believed he was making it up for attention. That was just his thing. And then everything came full circle. When the news broke and the details started matching up exactly with what he'd told me years before, I had to go back to New York, find him, and apologize. Because what he described, that was word for word from the lawsuit. Now, to be fair, and I want to be very clear here, if everyone involved was a willing, consenting adult, then whatever someone chooses to do in their private life is their business. I'm not here to judge a person's preferences. What makes this situation different is everything else surrounding it. The control, the abuse, the alleged threats. That's where it stops being a personal lifestyle and starts being something much more serious. Jason Lee's history with Diddy goes back to his days at Revolt. They weren't close friends, but they weren't strangers either. He'd been to the parties, exchanged texts, and even had a tense run-in at one of Diddy's homes. He was taking a picture when Diddy walked over and told him in no uncertain terms not to try him, said he was a different type. Jason, unbothered, told him to either get in the photo or get out of the way. They took the picture and moved on. But that moment stayed with him. Because here's the thing about Diddy, there are different versions of him depending on which angle you're looking from. Culturally, the man built something undeniable. The music, the fashion, the network, the school for black kids. That legacy is real. But alongside all of that, there have always been whispers. Stories about control, about darkness behind the doors. Jason says he never personally witnessed anything sinister at the parties. He even has an old Snapchat of Cassie and others just dancing, laughing, having a good time. But he also acknowledges he stayed in the backyard. He didn't go into the house. And there's a reason he always said that. What frustrates Jason, and a lot of people, is the way this situation has unfolded in the court of public opinion. Diddy lost his school, his clothing line, his Grammy nomination, his deal with Ciroc worth $50 million a year, and his entire network. All before a single verdict. And Jason's concern isn't about protecting Diddy. It's about the system. Because when we normalize destroying someone before they ever see a courtroom, we make it easier for that same thing to happen to the next person. And that next person might look just like us. Then came the apology video. And Jason didn't mince words. He called it performative. Cookie cutter. A PR response from someone who got caught doing something they never expected to be exposed for. Diddy had spent weeks denying everything, calling himself another black man being lied on, positioning himself as a victim of a smear campaign. And then the hotel surveillance footage dropped, the one Diddy allegedly paid $50,000 to bury, and suddenly there was an apology video. No mention of Cassie by name. No acknowledgement of the lie he'd told the public just weeks before. Just a tearful monologue about personal struggles and getting help. Cassie's legal team wasn't moved. Her lawyer Meredith Fiore put out a statement saying the video was more about Diddy than about any of the people he hurt. She pointed out that he denied everything and accused his accusers of chasing money, and that the only reason an apology came at all was because the denials were proven false on camera. She called it pathetic desperation. Said no one would be swayed by words that insincere. 50 Cent, meanwhile, was doing what 50 Cent does. Privately, Jason says, he's actually a decent person. But online? He's relentless. When the assault footage dropped, 50 posted, "Enough is enough." When the apology video came out, 50 responded simply, "This is not going to work." Then immediately promoted his cognac. That's 50. Cassie's longtime friend Tiffany Red also went viral. She posted a direct, emotional message calling Diddy out by name, saying she remembered Cassie telling her about the incident years ago. She said she thought no one would ever see that footage because of how hard Diddy worked to kill it. And now that the world had seen it, she made one thing clear: he wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught. And then Jason went further. On his podcast, he issued a warning that cut through everything else being said. He looked into the camera and said, "Diddy, you're going to catch a RICO." Not a reference to a person, a racketeer-influenced and corrupt organization's charge. The kind the feds use when they're going after an entire operation, not just a single act. Because it's not just about the hotel video anymore. There are questions about Biggie's death and publishing disputes that turned ugly. About Kim Porter, who was allegedly writing a book about Diddy before she suddenly passed. About a Rolling Stone cover that Diddy allegedly pushed for just days after Biggie was murdered, reportedly saying he's dead. I need to be on that cover. About surveillance footage obtained in the March raids. About a male sex worker who claims he was victimized inside Diddy's home, whose story lines up almost exactly with what Jason's friend told him 3 years ago over dinner in New York. The same person he called a liar to his face. The walls are closing in. And Jason, who's spent months being one of the few voices urging people to wait for a court process, is now saying what he sees. He thinks we're going to see Diddy in handcuffs. Not because he wants that, but because that's where this is headed. We already saw his sons in handcuffs. We already saw the video. And Cassie, who knows everything, who holds all the cards, hasn't said a public word yet. She's moving smart, quietly building, because she doesn't have to say anything right now. The footage already spoke. Jason's final word on it is this: if Diddy is as guilty as the evidence suggests, then what's coming is karma. This industry has run on ego and unchecked power for a long time. And there are people who have been taken advantage of, manipulated, and silenced because they didn't have the platform or the resources to fight back. If accountability is finally arriving, even for the icons, maybe especially for the icons, then that matters. So what do you think? Is Diddy heading to court? And when he gets there, what do you think the outcome will be? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this video gave you something to think about, hit that subscribe button so you never miss what we cover next. I had a friend tell me something years ago that, at the time, I completely dismissed. He said, "One day I was just hanging out when I got a call saying Puff wanted me to come over. I pulled up, and he wanted me to mess around with Cassie while he sat there filming it. He claimed Diddy was watching and pleasuring himself while recording everything. And honestly, when he told me that, I thought he was completely making it up. I figured he was chasing attention, exaggerating, trying to insert himself into a story that wasn't his. I stopped taking him seriously. Then years later, everything came full circle. I actually had to call him and apologize. I was back in New York, met up with him, and told him I was sorry because what he described sounded almost identical to allegations that later became public. Now, let me be clear. I don't work for Diddy. I took my show off Revolt before all of this happened. We were never friends, and I'm not loyal to him. But I do respect what he accomplished. If he committed crimes and is found guilty in court, then he should be held accountable like anyone else. What concerns me is this new culture where people can put accusations into lawsuits, have them spread everywhere online, and watch someone lose everything before their day in court ever arrives. Jason Lee's connection to Diddy goes back to his time at Revolt. Because of that relationship, he attended many of Diddy's events over the years. But after federal agents raided Diddy's homes, Jason began speaking publicly and sharing what he knew. When the topic of Diddy's parties came up, Jason explained that he had attended white parties, birthday parties, and plenty of gatherings over the years. He pushed back on the idea that everyone automatically knew what was allegedly happening behind closed doors. According to him, people act shocked when he says he would attend a Diddy party, but until recently, those events didn't publicly carry the reputation they have now. Others disagreed, arguing that rumors had always existed. Jason maintained that whenever he attended, he mostly stayed in the backyard and avoided wandering through the house. Still, he admitted that if Diddy had invited him inside years ago to see something, he probably would have followed without thinking twice. At the time, there was no reason for him to assume anything unusual was taking place. Jason also pointed out that he had been inside the house during parties and never personally witnessed anything outrageous. In fact, he says he once recorded video of Cassie and others dancing and having a good time. Whatever may or may not have happened elsewhere, he says he never personally saw it. He emphasized that, from his experience, he never saw anyone being forced into anything. His view was simple: if people showed up, they came for their own reasons. That's what made his friend's story so unbelievable to him years ago. The friend, a former model, described receiving a call to come over and then allegedly being asked to engage with Cassie while Diddy watched and filmed. Jason remembers immediately rejecting the story as nonsense. But when details from later lawsuits emerged, he found himself revisiting that conversation and wondering whether there had been truth to it after all. At the same time, Jason stressed that consenting adults engaging in private activities is not what concerns him. In his view, if everyone involved is of age and participating willingly, that's their business. What crosses the line, he said, are allegations involving abuse, coercion, or violence. The conversation then shifted away from Diddy and into broader discussions about celebrity culture, rumors, and the way public narratives spread online. But another story Jason shared would soon raise even more questions. In a separate interview, Jason recalled an uncomfortable encounter at Diddy's house. He said Diddy once confronted him while he was taking a photo and allegedly warned him not to try him. Jason laughed it off at the time, telling him to either get in the picture or move on. Diddy eventually posed for the photo, and the moment passed, but Jason never forgot it. Reflecting on everything happening now, Jason described Diddy as a complicated figure. On one hand, he credits him as a cultural icon who helped shape music, fashion, media, and business. On the other hand, he acknowledged that Diddy's career has always been surrounded by controversy, rumors, and stories that painted him in a darker light. Jason noted that he had heard many of those rumors over the years, just like everyone else. Stories about conflicts, scandals, and alleged behavior circulated constantly. Yet, despite hearing them, he said he never personally witnessed criminal conduct. What stood out most to him was the way public opinion had shifted almost overnight. He questioned whether people were rushing to conclusions before all the facts were known. He also expressed concern about how quickly entire careers, businesses, and reputations can be destroyed once allegations become public. According to Jason, the consequences were already enormous. Diddy had lost business relationships, media ventures, sponsorships, and major opportunities. Regardless of what ultimately happens in court, those losses had already occurred. He argued that society often treats allegations as convictions, especially when they involve celebrities. In his view, that creates a dangerous precedent because public judgment frequently arrives long before legal judgment. At the same time, Jason made it clear that accountability matters. If evidence proves wrongdoing, then consequences should follow. But he believes there is a difference between seeking justice and deciding guilt before the legal process plays out. The discussion eventually turned toward Diddy's children. Jason spoke emotionally about seeing them become part of the story. Having known some of them for years, he described them as good people and said it was difficult watching them face public scrutiny because of allegations involving their father. He emphasized that while he had heard countless stories about Diddy over the years, he had never personally seen evidence connecting his children to the more extreme accusations circulating online. If such evidence emerged, he said it would genuinely shock him. For Jason, the larger issue remained the same: the speed with which public opinion can destroy lives before facts are fully established. He argued that once someone is condemned in the court of public opinion, the damage is often irreversible, even if later developments tell a different story. After leaving Revolt, Jason built his own platform where he became known for sharing blunt opinions. That reputation was on full display when he reacted to Diddy's video apology following the release of surveillance footage. Unlike earlier comments where he urged caution, Jason did not hold back. He said the apology felt performative and calculated. In his opinion, it appeared less like genuine remorse and more like a response to being caught. What bothered him most was that Diddy had previously denied wrongdoing. Jason argued that the video undermined those denials and raised questions about why the truth only seemed to emerge after evidence became public. Others echoed similar criticisms. Cassie's legal team released statements suggesting the apology focused more on Diddy himself than on those who were allegedly harmed. They argued that accountability only arrived once public evidence made denial impossible. The backlash continued online, especially from longtime rival 50 Cent, who openly mocked both the allegations and the apology. The response quickly became another major chapter in the ongoing public fallout. As more reports surfaced, Jason's commentary grew increasingly direct. He referenced long-standing rumors, recent investigations, and claims that federal authorities were examining evidence gathered during raids. While acknowledging that many allegations remained unproven, he said the mounting developments made it difficult to ignore the possibility that much more could eventually come to light. He also spoke about the broader entertainment industry, arguing that power, influence, and fear often shape what happens behind the scenes. According to Jason, many people stay silent because careers, money, and reputations are at stake. Despite his earlier reluctance to rush to judgment, he admitted that his perspective had changed as more information emerged. While still insisting that legal proceedings should determine guilt, he said the situation appeared increasingly serious. Jason ultimately described the downfall of such a powerful figure as both shocking and sad. Diddy, he noted, helped shape an entire era of culture and entertainment. But he also argued that influence and success should never place someone above accountability. As the investigations continue and new claims emerge, the central question remains unanswered: what will ultimately be proven in court, and what consequences will follow? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.